You're listening to the Real Estate Proverbs Podcast with host Kevin Jefferson. This is the number one podcast for African American real estate professionals who are doing extraordinary things. It's time to tune in. And now, your host, the People's Lender, Kevin Jefferson.
Hello, welcome to Real Estate Proverbs Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Jefferson, and today we have a very special guest. How you doing today, Ramon?
Hey, good evening. Good evening.
That's good. Ramon, tell everybody about who you are.
Hey, well, first of all, Kevin, thank you for having me on this amazing podcast. I'm glad you launched it. I know the world and the industry is going to be definitely blessed by what you're doing. I'm Ramon Tookes, born and raised here in Atlanta. I started my real estate journey. Now it's been 26 years. I started off as a 19-year-old kid in college. And so that journey began because I was just looking to make an extra dollar. You know, my dad encouraged us to be entrepreneurs. At 19, I had been involved and experienced different businesses myself. But my father owns real estate. My grandfather was a roofer. We grew up right here in town. So I've seen a lot of real estate, played around with it. But at 19, I got involved in it and got bit early on. When I say I got bit, you know, I fell in love with it. And, you know, good or bad, the past 26 years, it has, you know, it's been what's fed my family. I've done a little bit of everything from wholesaling to bird dogging to fix and flipping to development. And so to now being an author and an educator, I'm also a licensed realtor in Georgia. So that journey spans, you know, a quarter of 100 years. And a lot of experience. And so I got a lot of good stories and a lot of stories that were good because I learned some from them.
Got you. So you said that your father and your grandfather owned real estate and you had family members that were contractors. Did they teach you about it or you watched and picked it up?
So my grandfather didn't teach us how to be roofers, but we watched him. He's a very hardworking man. My father technically didn't teach me like, hey man, this is a deed or this is that, but you know, kind of watching him, understanding the power of ownership. He preached it to us. He embedded in us that, you know, we always always own what we live. And also we also watched him own other, you know, commercial properties.
Wow. So, so you said you're 19 years old, so you're pretty much fresh out of high school and going into college. What was that one thing that made you say, I want to jump into this?
You know, my dad pushed us. Like he pushed all of us though. You know, one thing he would tell us is to go get our real estate license. My goal in life was to be a criminal defense attorney. So my undergraduate degree is in criminal justice. I do have a law degree from Emory, but by the time I finished with that law degree, man, I was grown. The real estate world had already taken over my life. So I guess that push of wanting to have some money, because I've always been, you know, early on, hey, I want some money, and then my father really, you know, encouraging me to get involved in real estate some kind of way.
Wow. So let me in college and undergrad, did you have your own place and were you renting out rooms?
So first, so we again, man, been really fortunate. My dad, you know, we lived next door to him, so I didn't have to think about that kind of stuff. I went to Georgia State, so there was no campus. You know, back in 1993, there was no campus. It is now. There were no dorms. I think they may have had one. I don't know if they had one back then, because you got to remember it was just the school downtown. It wasn't the massive school that it is now. But when I bought that first house at 19, it was supposed to be a fix and flip that turned out to be an amazing story. I talk about it in my book. And I started buying rentals. We didn't know a lot about how fixing and flipping wasn't as sexy. It was being a landlord is what kind of my first idea of, you know, real estate investing was. You buy something, you fix it up, you stick a tenant in there, you make money every month. Fixing and flipping started to come to me probably around 1998, 1999, like when I really started getting involved in it.
Right. So at that time, besides your father and your grandfather, like, where'd you get your information and knowledge from? Like, now there's a ton of courses. There's YouTube and there's Google. Where'd you get your information from at that point?
Man, a lot of, we read the newspaper. I know that sounds funny, but reading the newspaper, Carlton Sheets was around. There was some other kind of local investors that we kind of watched and emulated, and so, but a lot of it just came from kind of self-taught stuff, and then listening to the people that were right there with me.
Right. So, in terms of for those who don't know, can you let them know who Carlton Sheets was?
Carlton Sheets was like the first real estate guru that we seen on TV.
Right.
I definitely know it was for me. He used to sit, in that little chair, like with the water behind him, and he taught us basic principles. And then you order it, it comes 4 weeks later, and some videotapes and some. It wasn't even CDs, bro. It was
Cassettes.
Cassettes. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So, so you're in undergrad, you find your first property. You said it was a story and it's in your book. Can you shed a little light on what happened in that first transaction?
So I bought it. Of course, I didn't get much help with understanding how to look at renovations. I thought I can go in there and do it myself. That's what everybody, I watch people kind of work well with their hands. It overwhelmed me. I didn't finish it when I was supposed to finish it. My budget was like way off, and so it just didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out, but we finished it though. We ended up selling it and moving on to the next deal.
So did you gain a profit? Did you lose? Or
I didn't lose, but I didn't win. I didn't gain a profit.
Gotcha.
It was one of them things where we were just, like, I got to get out of this one. I didn't lose though.
Right. So how long was it before you got your second property?
Like right away. We were doing a lot of what we call bird dogging. It really is the old version of wholesaling, where I would go out and locate properties for you, and you would just give me like a $500, $1,000 fee. It has grown into wholesaling now, where I can almost control my fee depending on how good I negotiate. Back then, it was just, I'll find this property, you give me $500, you give me $1,000. Again, I'm 19, 20 years old. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah, because my second year, I think I did like 70 or 80 of them. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Were all of them in the Atlanta area or some?
All Metro Atlanta. I didn't know. The first few years, I was, in-town Atlanta was not what we see it today. It was rough, but at the same time, we had people buying, and I was, okay with going into the neighborhood. I grew up there. And so then, I knew people in the neighborhoods that would say, okay, you selling? Okay, we got you. We're going to, send it your way. So that was a big push. And then I went and got my real estate license. So I was representing folks. I was working with them. Same thing I'm doing today. Representing folks and then, working with investors.
Wow. So going into 2000, maybe 2002, 2003, at that point, that was one of the peaks of the market where it was starting to go on a steady incline, because I got my license at that time. How are you doing business at that point?
I was doing very well. So, I had been in it at that point, say 2001, 2002, 5 or 6 years. I was still in college. I actually finished law school in 2003. In 2003, so I was still, I was in college. Man, we were making so much money in real estate though, because I paid for my law degree, paid for my law school education with real estate money. At the same time, by year 3 or 4, I had started buying multifamily. We had rooming house, so I had a lot of income. And in 2001, I actually sold some apartments to start into the entertainment world / nightclub business, which almost killed me by 2002. But one of my hard money lenders told me in 2001, don't go into the nightclub business. He told me, like, don't do it.
Wow.
But, I was young. Well, I mean, how you going to tell me and I'm making money and I like this crowd and but 2001 was an amazing year for me. When I say amazing, My daughter was born. I got married in July. My daughter was born in September. My mom passed at 45 years old in November. So it was a lot of, and I was still in law school, running a nightclub and a real estate business. It was a lot, Kim. It was a lot. I didn't sleep. Man. I used to, I had a driver, and my driver would pull up, especially like on Thursdays and Fridays, pick me up at 6 or 7 in the morning, take me to school, pick me up. We go to the club or to the real estate office. We get in the car, and he got all my reports in the car, and then we just run. And I'll end up at home at 1 o'clock, and I'm studying in the back of the club. It was a lot, man. I know I was tired, boy. I used to be like really tired. So, that's one of the things, man, been truly blessed to have those experiences. But the real estate, it always goes back to real estate. It goes back to what I love, and there's no limit to what we can do, and the potential is like, man.
Wow. So obviously, if you're still in real estate now, you were still in the business around 2007, 2008 when the market crashed.
Yeah.
Tell us how that affected you and your business.
So again, man, I wasn't really young in 2007. I guess I was 32 years old, I guess. Yeah, 32 years old. We had made so much money, I thought we were invincible. So in 2008, you felt it some in 2007, but in 2008, we really felt it. I had just ventured into a 100-lot subdivision out at Stonecrest. We had bought some other commercial properties. And so I was spread very thin. And when it hit, I've never experienced that, but we weren't able to sell anything. And I depleted my savings because I felt like I was Ramon Tookes and I'm going to get through it. And when people were saying, man, just go ahead and sell, don't pay them. They're not going to, I heard that 1,000 times that I felt some kind of way. And then at some point I wasn't able to pay them. So in 2008, was probably through 10 was some very rough years. 2008, of course, we weren't making any money. When 2009 rolled around, I started doing like stuff for banks to earn some money. But again, we weren't able to sell anything. And so when 2010 hit, it was, it was crash time. I think I filed bankruptcy in 2008 to hold on to some stuff, which eventually we ended up selling. But by 2010, we was turning that boat around because we had those relationships. We had built so many relationships when we were in the heydays with the different bankers and realtors that I built a very, very good property preservation company that sustained me for probably 2 years.
Wow.
And then
Tell
we started.
Go ahead.
And then in 2012 we really started back buying, like our sales. I think in 10 we were, all the hedge funds start coming in, so we started finding deals for the people that had money. Everything was on sale. I didn't have any money.
Wow. So 2012, the market's taken off, and you started back in the real estate, out of the property preservation business. Tell us about what you have you have a program called Flipology.
Yes.
Tell us what Flipology means.
So Flipology is the science of flipping real estate. So not just fixing and flipping, but buying, holding, and wholesaling. We started Flipology. The first Flipology was 2015. The concept came about because I had started teaching folks around 2011, 10. I'm trying to think. We used to be down to Atlantic Station 10, 11, 12. And then I had somebody come me in 14 to say, listen, y'all teaching all over again away for free. You need to brand it. And at that time, man, I really didn't know what branding mean. I didn't. And the young lady that did it, she put together the colors and we ran with it. So Flipology was born in 2014. We brought it to the market in 2015, March. So it's been the same every year, March, July, November, March, July, November, March. And so this is, let's see, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we're going in, this is year 7 we're going into Flipologies.
Wow, that's amazing. So so in terms of Flipology, what do people get when they come to your event?
So Flipology is actually a couple of different courses. Our signature Flipology is Flipology 101, the boot camp, which has evolved into a 3 full day intense event where you get every single thing you need to be a successful investor. And when I say everything, you get information on accounting, taxes, accounting. You get information on debt relief. You get information on personal credit and business credit. You get information on how you fund deals. We talk about how to analyze deals. We talk about, your realtor, your inspector, your interior designer and stager. We go through the gamut from A to Z. So, when you hear find, fund, fix, flip, we go through all 4 stages of that. And we take you out on our bus to look at actual projects that we're involved in. Now, I know people ask, well, what about COVID? So we learned how to adjust pretty quickly and have a hybrid. And so even if you're watching it virtually, we have equipment that has you out in the field with us. So it is an experience because it's classroom and in the field. And probably not much that can even compare to the caliber of people and the amount of information that you get over the 3-day weekend.
Wow, that's amazing, man. And I can attest to it. I've been to Flipology, and it helped me to be able to see things a little differently from a different lens and to get educated by different professionals. And, it's allowed for me to get back in the investment space and acquire some property. So it definitely worked for me. And I'll be attending again in March.
Well, thank you, Kev.
Yeah, for sure, man. So this is what I want to ask you is, I know I know that Flipology does it all, and you do all things. You do the fixing and flipping, the buy and hold, and the wholesaling. What's your favorite?
I don't have one.
Don't have one.
Nope. If I had to pick one, we buy and holding.
Okay.
Yeah. Just his favorite, from techniques, from the team, from the efforts. It's very challenging to pick one. If I had to pick one, I say buy and holding because it's passive income. Because I think the other ones are quick hitters. But with buy and holding, I get to leave something to my children's, and I can build a real business off of it. With fixing and flipping, you're only as good as your last deal. No matter what somebody says or how many they're doing, like right now, it's a challenge in the market with finding deals. And as great as our networks are, that's something that we're pressed for. So if you're fixing and flipping, and you don't have the deal, you can have great credit and great money, and you don't know how to go out there and make money with the other strategies. Then you got another issue.
Gotcha. And what about wholesaling? A lot of times,
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I love wholesaling, but I'm the wholesale because of the network and the resources that we have. But to just go out and start wholesaling, it's not what I like the most. I'm probably going to pick a fix and flip to do so I can buy rental property, but I like buying whole. I understand that, for me and my family and my people, we are behind. We got to do something else so that we're leaving something to the grandkids. That's the only way you start to establish equality in this world is you start off on some kind of a different platform than just starting off at zero or below zero.
No. So that you said something about leaving a legacy behind for your kids. I see you on social media. We talk, and I've been to Flipology probably 4 or 5 times, and I've seen your kids at every one of them. They might not want to be there, but you know what I mean?
It ain't might not want. It is absolutely,
but they're there, nevertheless, they're there. So, that speaks volumes, and you're right, man. We have to leave a legacy for our kids, and we're behind. And the statistic still shows that We own less land now than we did 100 years ago. The home ownership rate is still, it's not as low as it was at the beginning of 2020, but we're still behind.
Isn't it like the 40s, 46?
Yeah, I think we're like
something crazy.
Yeah, I think we're like 43%. It was 43. It was 43 at the beginning of 2020, and now we're at 46. But that's still not where we should be, because right now, as African Americans, we're probably making more money than we ever made collectively. And of course, you had your
spending more too.
Yeah, we are, and that's so on my side. That's what I see. I see that I have clients that want a $900 a month mortgage and they got $700 car payment. So to me, it's backwards. And a lot of times, I ask the question, why would you do that? Because it's typically recent. So some people come to me and they have just gotten the car. And because they got the car, now they want the house, when it should be in reverse.
Be the house, then the car.
The house, then the car. And then the first thing they say is, well, they told me to get my credit score up, I should buy a car. Well, there's a million ways to get your score up besides taking on that kind of debt. We also have a huge problem with student loan debt. So you couple the student loan debt with the $500-$600 car payment, and then us being paid under our wage, what we should earn, that puts us in a financial bind. And that's not an excuse. We just have to figure out how to work out of that.
Correct.
We definitely have to figure how to work out of that, which that's why I started this podcast, because there are African-American people who are doing amazing things in real estate, whether it's an investor like yourself, an educator like yourself, real estate professionals, home inspectors, appraisers. I mean, that's another market. There are not many African-American appraisers. And that is the key, because they could go into our communities and, not saying elevate the prices, but they can see it for the true worth. Somebody on the outside of our community doesn't see it the way we do. And therefore, I think the African-American communities are valued 40% lower than they should be.
Well, so I know you saw the article or the thing maybe been a month or so ago where they said, tell Black folks to take the pictures down when they get in the house appraised. Yep. So it don't even matter about the community. It's still, if we are the owners, it's devalued based upon what they did a study and they showed like proof. Okay, same neighborhood, great neighborhood, but they seen Obama and Martin Luther King on the wall. It's a wrap. You and I don't, again, man, that's a spirit. That's something deeper than us fighting a financial war. That's, to me, in my opinion, that's something different, man. So, I pray about that, and we got to do what we got to do to make this thing to become better as a people, and which means sacrifices. We got to, my kids not wanting to be there, and I don't always make them come, Kev. I'll be honest with you. I tell them to come, especially like the older ones, if they want to come. The little ones, they like to come, but the older ones, they got schedules. So, but I know the key to all of it is we sacrifice, we build something, leave them, and then expose them to it. And that's what my dad did for us. He exposed us to business. He exposed us to taking risks. He exposed us to, which, most of them, I think my siblings and myself, most of us are entrepreneurs or salesmen. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And that like I've never lived in an apartment ever in my life. I went from when I was born, my mother owned her home. When I left her home, I went to my own home. My sons have never lived in an apartment. They went from one house in Delaware to the house here in Georgia, and in hopes of, them passing on the same thing. They both enjoy real estate. When I say they enjoy real estate, you ask some jokers what they want to do on the weekend. They want to go take a look at new construction houses. That's what, that's what we've been doing in the pandemic. Like we know it's not a lot of people there and they want to see it, so that sense of pride. And I definitely want to take them to, give them a little time at Flipology so they can learn and see and hear different things. So, trying to, no, working on exposing my kids to, some things that I had and I didn't have.
Right.
And that legacy is key, just leaving them something. I talked to my counterparts and like my broker back in Delaware, what he did was he purchased 2 rental properties, one for each of his kids, and he
Yes.
held on to them so it could pay for their college. So what happened was they end up, doing well in school and they got, a lot of scholarships, but the money from those rentals was what they lived off of, or what they used portions of it to finish paying for what they didn't get in scholarships. And to this day, they still own those properties. So,
That's a blessing, man. That's a
yeah, it
blessing.
is a blessing. And when he told me that, I would have never have thought of it. To be honest with you, that's somebody who had foresight. But his father-in-law at one point owned half of the town that we lived in. So,
Wow.
it's just exposure. And he didn't grow up in a family like that, but he learned it from being with his wife so long and seeing what her father did. Um, so it's just like you said, it's exposure, man. It's
That's
exposure
what it is.
to it's exposure to the real estate and general, like my mother, she never said you need to buy a house, but I guess from living in a house, I said, there's no need to live in an apartment. I'm like I said,
Correct.
never, ever. I might have stayed in one with somebody, but to live in one, and it's nothing wrong with living. It's not, not to knock apartment living, but that's just not
Correct.
what I grew up on.
Well, ownership has its own privileges. You know, I've heard, he who owns the land calls the shots, and that's more so right. I think Sonya Booker says that a lot. I think her grandfather said that. But when you think about it, a lot of times, man, if you don't have ownership, it's a pride. It's some pride that comes with ownership. And again, like you say, no knocking those that are living it. Some people choose to live in apartments. Some people, could afford to do it and know they could and choose to live in apartments. But you still, it's a lot of benefits of ownership. And I want my kids to take pride in. I want those that I influence or I'm around to take pride in it. Because just only one little piece. You're spending the same money that you're doing when you're renting. So why not?
Right, right. I know my mother's godfather, he owned a property across the street where it was a duplex and he owned it and rented it out, but he was renting where he was. And I remember asking him why. Well, he had a trash disposal business and the business paid for the rental. So he just took the collections there and he used that as his office. So he wasn't paying anything out of his pocket and he was making money off the duplex across the street from him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so just like seeing things like that at a young age, but also just thinking about it like, man, like Mr. Such and such, Mr. Ricketts had 10 properties. And then, Mr. Gaines has 17 properties. Like I
Mhm.
sat down with the guy who kept his books and he showed me the rent rolls and I was like, but why didn't they? My problem is why didn't they teach it to us? We knew of it, but I felt like they never extended to say, hey, boy, come sit down and take a look at this.
Now that was one of the issues in our community, though. When you think about it, we didn't learn about bills and stuff. Most, I mean, and not saying all, but a lot of time it was, we were told to start a grown folk business. That's why they didn't teach us, because that was that they were kind of first generation. They don't want you to be better than some of them. They want you to be better than them. I mean, you hate to say that, but that's part of it. That was that. We just came out of slavery. That's that slave mentality. You know.
Right, right. I mean, I truly think that our generation is going to be to the shift, like the big change. We may not see the full effects of it, but I believe if we continue to do what we're doing, we'll affect generations to come.
It will.
Because it's a lot of us that are in that mode of we've got to leave something for our family.
You know what? The next generation, they don't have no boundaries.
No fear either.
They don't care nothing about where they live at. They don't care. They're different, but they breaking the tradition of what it the financial tradition. They breaking it, man. They making money all over the internet, through affiliates, and they're a different group.
Yeah, different group, man. Different group. So in terms of investing now and the market being on fire, like all parts of the country, if somebody wanted to get into real estate, what would be a few things you would advise them to do when getting into real estate right now?
Number one thing is, Kev, is get educated. Understand what's out there, and then understand why do you want to get. Some people just want to get in for money, which is cool, but just understand when the money go, then what happens. So first thing I'm gonna say is get educated. Second thing is, and I'm gonna say get educated, and then look at all the free stuff first. Like start looking at the free stuff, Kev. Of course, we got programming, right? But I want you to look at some YouTube stuff. I want you to, and don't talk to everybody because it's people gonna discourage you. Start to understand why you want to go into fixing and flipping and buying, holding, and wholesaling. Not just because people are saying it. Understand why. So that's my first thing. The second thing is you need to start building that team. You need to know who your lender, banker. You need to know who's your coach or your mentor is gonna be. Who's your realtor? Who's your accountant? You need to know that stuff. And then I say, the last thing is really, really taking action. But when you take action, you got to have the necessary tools. So how's your credit? It don't matter how it is. You can do deals whether it's great or bad, right? Great or horrible. But you need to know that. You need to know, okay, I got a 500 score. I need to pay this down. So I need to do this many deals and then move forward. So, education, and I'm gonna always say, education and taking action, you're not gonna be able to beat you can't do one without the other one, but it is like the number one and two things, really.
Got you. Got you. So when when I hear people talk about getting into real estate, they always say that they want to wholesale because it's the easiest. What are your thoughts?
Uh, you know, when you first picked up that driving manual, you felt like you read it, you can just go drive. That's what I think about wholesaling. It is one of the easiest ways, depending on where you are, depending on your resources. If I got great credit and some money, that ain't where I'm starting. If I don't have no money and no credit, that's probably where I gotta start.
Right, right.
Right? So I don't want to say it's the easiest. And I fight that battle all over the place where I say fixing and flipping is easier than wholesaling. Or buying and holding is easier than wholesaling.
Got you.
Now, on paper, wholesaling is I go find something, I get the right price, I go sell it, I make a fee. That's why it seems so easy. But most of the wholesalers right now are not doing anything.
Right. It's tough. I mean, it takes a lot of money, and they don't think, the deal has to, in my opinion, of course, the deal has to be right where everybody wins. And I think that's the problem that we're running into.
Well, right now it doesn't. That's the unfortunate part. But a lot of those people that don't care what the end buyer is doing or why they're paying for it, then you got the hedge funds in here. They're paying a little bit more. You got people from different cities that will take less of a return that are paying a little bit more. So, yep, the deal has to be right. And I think if you want people to repeat business, then you give them the best deal you can possibly give them while you are eating as well.
Right. And that's how you've been able to sustain, the business for 26 years,
Yeah.
26
Yeah.
years,
A
man.
lot of grit though. A lot of, ups and downs. Learning who you are, learning the market, learning how to. I mean, I can say it's been a lot of, as they old people said, juggling. Where that's supposed to be paid over there, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it over here and finish this project. When I finish that project, I'll fix that. That's one of the toughest things about the business is you got to get it going. and some people not willing to sacrifice or be patient enough to get the business going. So then, this week they are fixing and flipping, and you send them 6 months, they greet her somewhere.
You mentioned assembling and knowing who your team. Can you give us like an overview of who your team is and what it looks like?
So we've got several teams, but Jill Harrison heads the marketing for all the teams. And then on the Flipology and coaching side of things, Steve Pennington has been brought on board to help us. Great with marketing and strategy. And then we have, a group of realtors. Of course, we have lenders, contractors for sure, property managers. Did I say accountants? And so those are really like the basics. With our funding and lenders, we got all kinds. Kevin, you're a traditional lender for the most part, and so you can help us get that 15, 30-year mortgage. We got, of course, some hard money lenders. I know you dibble and dabble in that. And then we got folks that teach us how to use IRAs. So we got the gamut, man. We know realtors, um, contractors, CPAs, lenders, friends. You got to have some good friends on that journey. It's a lot of days that you cry. You want to cry when something didn't close or was supposed to close, or you was counting on that money. So definitely, get you a mentor, but get some good friends.
Got you. So let me ask you this, because I know you're both. Is your mentor and your coach one and the same?
Do I get to charge twice?
Depends. Because I know what I think, but I want to hear it from you because you're both. So I want to see what your take is on
So it depends on who it is, Kev. I can be both, but I have shifted to become more of a coach as opposed to a mentor. And yep, you can mentor. I think you charge for a coach and you mentor people for a bonus. I don't want to call it free. That don't sound right to me.
Right. Right. Because when I think of mentoring and coaching, you mentor somebody you follow, they give you advice, and you probably have a different relationship with them. When I think of coach, they're not your friend. You're not going to have a lot of their time, but the time that they give you is to make you better at what you do.
Correct. Even when it hurts.
Yep, even when it hurts. But yeah, I often wonder, because a lot of times I hear people say, they're a mentor, but I mean, sometimes you really do need a coach, because your mentor is doing their thing as well. So they're not going to be able to pour into you. The coach gets paid to help you get to where you need to go faster.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, that's definitely good analysis of that.
Yeah. So I got some questions for you, man. What is, and you don't have to give figures, like what is the biggest deal that you ever done?
So it's profit or the purchase of the deal?
Profit.
6 figures.
6 figures. That's what's up. And do you dabble in commercial at all?
Yes. Yep. Multifamily commercial.
Yep.
So I've owned churches. We've owned strip centers. Of course, I've owned commercial buildings where my offices were housed. Um, Multifamily, anything over 4 units is technically a commercial property. So we've definitely owned a few properties that are larger than 4 units.
Gotcha. What type of projects are you guys currently working on now?
So right now we're working on a couple single family flips and new construction. We have also some multifamilies that we are getting ready to be leased. We got a 22 unit in Montgomery, Alabama that is, 50% done. We acquired it last August August 2020. And so, we've been working on that. I'm down in Montgomery every single week to walk the site and then, just kind of make sure keeping the guys honest. So we got a few of those going. And so that's enough for today.
That's a big undertaking. How many units is the one in Montgomery?
That 22.
22. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. In terms of the fix and flips, do you have your own team or do you contract out everything?
So they're not on payroll. So the contractors are basically, independent contractors. And so, but we keep them busy, and then we've done pretty well with them. So they come as needed. I don't have like a daily pay for contractors. No, I'm not. I don't even want that.
Gotcha. Yeah, from experience, I've learned, you always have to keep building relationships with contractors because it's just something happens. They either get busy or the quality of work changes. So you just have to
Correct.
continue to harness relationships with them as you go along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now, like they're saying it's a shortage of housing. It's not enough contractors to keep up with the demand, whether it be new construction or renovations. It's just not enough. It's not possible.
Wow. So if somebody wants to get in on something that you're doing or to be a part of your movement, man, what are some things they could do to get started?
So I learn every project. One, I do want you to get educated. So I'm gonna say go to Flipology, right? So you understand some of the basic language. I don't have a lot of time to like teach the basic stuff. When you come into one of our programs like coaching, then I expect something you'd already have something. Flipology teaches you that. If you're looking to be a partner on some things, then we can sit down and talk. Because I'm learning how to weed people out, even though somebody may have money. I can give you some directions or guidance that'll be very beneficial to you. So
Gotcha. So when is the next Flipology?
Flipology coming up is March 12th through 14th. That's Friday all day, Saturday all day, Sunday all day. And you leave there full. You leave there excited, but you leave there with all the necessary resources that you need to get your business going or go to the next level.
Gotcha. So for those who want to try to get in contact with you, can you give them your social media?
Yes, I'm Ramon Tookes on all social medias, LinkedIn, um, Instagram, and Facebook. So that's Ramon Tookes.
Gotcha. And how would they sign up for Flipology?
You can go to flipology101.com to sign up. And if you're on Instagram, you can click my bio to sign up.
Awesome. Well, Ramon, I appreciate your time, man. I don't take it lightly that you took the time to do this interview. And thank you and have a good evening.
Hey, thank you, Kev.